Success is a personal journey, not a group event. Ladies and gentlemen, let me start with a little truth I picked up along the way. You don't get successful by accident, and you sure don't get there by group vote. Success is not a committee decision. It's not earned in a crowd. It's a personal journey, one that starts inside of you. Now I love a good team and I believe in community, but let me tell you what I've learned. No one can do your push-ups for you. They can spot you, they can cheer you on, but they can't do the reps. That's your job. That's your journey. Too many people are waiting for the group to move, waiting for friends to get serious, waiting for the world to cheer them on. And while they're waiting, someone else is waking up at 5 a.m., journaling, reading, stretching, building discipline, alone. Success doesn't come from belonging to the right crowd. It comes from becoming the right person. You see, most people look around and say, well, if they're not doing it, why should I? But the successful person, he looks in the mirror and says, if I don't do it, who will? That's the difference. If you want to climb a mountain, you can't wait for the crowd. The mountain doesn't care how many are in your group. It only responds to your steps, your breath, your effort. Success is solo effort with collective benefit. And here's the funny thing. When you finally start climbing your own mountain, doing your own thinking, and building your own life, you'll start inspiring others. But not because you followed the group. It's because you led yourself. Personal development is personal. Personal discipline is personal. And success, that's earned privately before it's celebrated publicly. So let me challenge you today. Stop looking sideways. Stop comparing journeys. And stop waiting for others to move before you move. Start with your own mind, your own plan, your own effort. The crowd might not come with you. That's okay. They weren't called to your path. You were, because in the end, success doesn't come with a parade. It comes with a decision to grow, a decision to act, a decision to keep going when the group sits down, and that's when you'll discover success is not a group event. It's a personal triumph. Success begins with personal responsibility because it is the first and most essential foundation upon which all achievement is built. Without it, every attempt at growth, improvement, or success is unstable and short-lived. Personal responsibility means taking full ownership of your actions, your choices, your time, and ultimately, your results. It is the mindset that says, I am in control of my life. And this belief changes everything. When a person accepts responsibility, they stop blaming others. They stop pointing at circumstances, parents, bosses, the economy, or society. They understand that while they cannot control everything that happens to them, they can control how they respond to it. This shift is not small, it's revolutionary. It means stepping out of the victim mindset and into the role of creator. It means recognizing that no one is coming to rescue you, and that's not a problem, it's freedom. In a world where it's easy to point fingers and look for external explanations, personal responsibility is rare and therefore powerful. Success is not about luck, and it's not about being in the right place at the right time. Those may play a part, but the person who is responsible is always prepared. They learn, they grow, they adapt. They don't wait for a break. They create one, and when failure comes, they don't hide from it. They own it, study it, and improve because of it. Taking responsibility also means managing your daily habits. It's not just about the big decisions. It's about the little ones you make every day. The choice to read instead of scroll, to work instead of procrastinate, to save instead of spend, to act instead of complain. Success is not made in moments of applause. It's made in quiet moments of discipline, repeated over time, and discipline is the fruit of responsibility. When you embrace personal responsibility, you begin to live intentionally. You stop drifting, you set goals, you keep promises to yourself, you treat time as your most valuable currency, You realize that success is not something others hand to you. It's something you earn by how you show up every single day. And that mindset separates those who dream from those who achieve. One of the great lies many believe is that their past defines their future, but personal responsibility says, my past is what happened, but my future is what I choose. No matter how rough your background, how many mistakes you've made, how much time you've wasted, personal responsibility puts the pen back in your hand. It doesn't erase your past, it redeems it by turning lessons into leverage. It's easy to look at successful people and assume they had it easier, that the stars lined up for them. But what's usually true is that somewhere along the way, they made a decision to take full ownership of their life. They refused to sit back and let life happen to them. They decided to happen to life, and that choice made all the difference. Responsibility brings clarity. When you own your life, you stop waiting for someone to give you permission. You stop wasting time hoping someone else will do the hard part for you. You stop looking for shortcuts and start building strong roots, because you understand that real success isn't found in speed, it's found in staying power. And only responsible people can last through the tests, trials, and temptations that come with chasing a worthy goal. It also builds character. Responsibility sharpens integrity. It teaches you to do the right thing even when no one is watching, because you're no longer driven by applause or approval. You're driven by purpose. You know what matters, and you're committed to doing the work, whether it's fun or not, popular or not, easy or not. That consistency, born out of responsibility, is what leads to true, lasting success. There's also power in knowing that you're the one steering the ship. When you take personal responsibility, you realize that if you want different results, you must make different choices. If your relationships are struggling, you must communicate better. If your finances are a mess, you must budget smarter. If your health is declining, you must take better care of your body. These aren't easy truths, but they're freeing. Because they put the solution within reach, excuses fade when responsibility rises. The person who takes ownership doesn't waste time making excuses. They see failure not as a sentence, but as a signal. Not as proof they can't, but as feedback for how they can. They don't look for someone to blame. They look for something to learn. That posture of growth makes them stronger with every setback. And eventually, they become the kind of person success can't ignore. This principle applies to every area of life: career, relationships, finances, health, even faith. Success in each domain starts with the same question: what part of this do I own? It's not always a comfortable question, but it is always a productive one, because it leads to action, and action is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. The people who grow the most are not the most talented, the most connected, or even the most educated. They are the most responsible. They show up when it's hard. They push through when it's boring. They stay disciplined when no one else is watching. They commit to becoming better day after day because they know the result is worth the effort. When you take personal responsibility, you stop hoping and start building. You stop waiting for motivation and start moving with discipline. You stop wishing for change and start working toward it. Responsibility transforms you from a spectator into a participant in your own story. It gives you back your power. It reminds you that success is not something outside of you. It is something inside of you, waiting to be activated. Personal responsibility is the first step toward freedom, the first act of power, the first move toward success, not because it makes life easier, but because it makes you stronger, and that strength becomes the engine that drives you forward, no matter what obstacles lie ahead. The crowd doesn't climb the mountain, you do. That's a truth that hits deep when you're serious about growth, progress, and meaningful achievement. In a world obsessed with trends, likes, and group validation, it's easy to believe that success is a collective effort, a group walk, or a shared stage. But when you look closer, you realize that the actual climb, the real work, the silent battles, the decisions in the dark is a journey you take alone. The cheering may come from others, but the footsteps, the sweat, and the climb belong solely to you. There's a certain comfort in being part of the crowd. The crowd feels safe. The crowd doesn't question you. The crowd won't challenge your values because it moves with the wind. But mountains don't move. They don't adjust to your mood. They don't lower themselves to accommodate fear or delay. They stand tall and wait for the brave, the prepared, and the responsible to begin the climb. And while the crowd might gather at the base, take pictures, and talk about climbing one day, the actual ascent requires one person to step forward and start. That person is you. Nobody can climb your mountain for you. They can talk about how they climbed theirs. They can share wisdom, offer support, even walk with you for a short distance. But the final steps, the lonely hours, the inner battles, that's your load to carry. And it's not punishment, it's a privilege, because it's in that solitude that you find your strength. You discover what you're made of when the trail gets steep, when your legs get tired, when your mind tells you to quit, and you keep going. The mountain represents challenge, growth, and destiny. It's symbolic of everything worthwhile, your vision, your values, your calling, and it's placed before you not to intimidate you, but to reveal you. Every time you take a step upward, you're telling the world and yourself that comfort will not define you. Popular opinion will not shape you. That's the power of climbing alone. You learn to trust your own feet. When you rely too much on the crowd, you begin to lose yourself. You chase approval, you wait for consensus, and you slow your momentum. But when you accept that the mountain is yours to climb, you stop seeking confirmation from others and start gaining confidence from within. You stop asking, will they understand me? And you start declaring, I understand myself. That clarity becomes fuel, that focus becomes fire. And here's the truth most people won't say out loud. Not everyone in the crowd wants you to climb. Some are threatened by your progress. Some are too afraid to face their own mountains and want company and comfort. Some will cheer for you until you get too high, and then they'll question your motives, your methods, even your morals. That's when you must remember who you're climbing for, not for likes, not for applause, but for purpose, for vision, for the person you are becoming through the process. The mountain doesn't lie. It won't reward charm, shortcuts, or popularity. It responds only to effort, to perseverance, to consistency. That's why so few reach the top, because the climb demands more than talent. It demands transformation. The higher you go, the more you must shed your doubts, your distractions, your dependency on what others think. You climb not just to reach a goal, but to become someone new, someone strong enough to handle the view from the summit. Climbing the mountain alone also teaches patience. There's no elevator to the top. Just small, repeated steps, sometimes uphill, sometimes slow, sometimes painful, but each one counts, each one matters, even when no one is watching, even when no one is cheering. That's the discipline of the journey. And the reward isn't just the top, it's who you become on the way there. Some people try to skip the climb and fly to the summit. They want results without the responsibility, success without the struggle. But what they miss is the strength that only the journey can build, the lessons learned in the valley, the resilience forged on the slope, the wisdom gained in solitude. These are the invisible riches that come from doing it the hard way, the right way. The climb also teaches you to tune out noise. On your way up, you'll hear a lot: criticism, doubt, distractions. The crowd has opinions, and they're rarely aligned with your purpose, but the higher you go, the quieter it becomes. That's not loneliness, that's clarity. You start to hear your own thoughts more clearly. You start to hear purpose calling and fear fading. That's when you realize why climbing alone was necessary. Even when others are climbing their own mountains, Their path is different. Their pace is different. Their reason is different. That's why comparison is so dangerous. It makes you question your steps, when in truth, the only thing that matters is moving forward on your own mountain. The summit isn't a race, it's a realization, and you only get there by staying committed to your own journey. There's a deep satisfaction in knowing that you earned every inch, that no one carried you, that no shortcut was taken, that you faced the storm, the fatigue, the self-doubt, and kept climbing anyway. That's the kind of success no one can take from you, because it wasn't given to you. You built it. You walked it, you climbed it, and one day, when you reach the summit, the view won't just be beautiful. It will be meaningful, because you'll know what it took to get there. You'll remember every step, every sacrifice, every lesson. And though the crowd may still be at the base, you'll understand why you had to do it alone. The crowd doesn't climb the mountain. You do, and that's exactly why the reward is yours.